All right, I am recording. Okay, start of Othello. Ready?
Tush, never tell me. I take it much unkindly. But thou, Iago, who hast had my purse, as if the strings were thine, shouldst know of this.
All right, so Iago is controlling Rodrigo's purse strings, which means that there's some kind of a financial relationship between these two characters. And it seems that Rodrigo has the money, and Iago is the one who's making him spend it or controlling it.
Blood, which will not hear me, if I ever did dream of such a matter, abhor.
Thou toldst me thou didst hold him in thy hate.
All right, so we don't know who the him is. We start in the middle of a conversation between these two, right? And Rodrigo is saying, you told me you hated him. So we should be naturally wondering, well, who are you talking about? Who you hate, right? What's the natural relationship set up between these two that they supposedly both hate?
Despise me if I do not. Three great ones of the city, in personal suits make me his lieutenant. I'll capture him, and by the faith of men, I know my price. I am worth no worse of place. But he, as loving his own pride and purposes, evades them above this circumstance. Horribly suffered epithets of war. And in conclusion, non-suits my mediators, for certes, says he, I have already chose my officer. And what was, forsooth, the great arithmetician, one Michael Cassio, a Florentine, a fellow almost damned in a fair life, that never set a squadron in the field. All right, so they are in the military. Okay, we got some military talk here. And we find out, not necessarily names yet, but Iago is mad that he got passed over for being lieutenant. Okay, and we find out who is the actual lieutenant who got picked. Michael Cassio, right? So Michael Cassio is going to be bad guy in Iago's mind, and apparently also in Rodrigo's mind. That never set a squadron in the field, nor the division of a battle knows, more than a spinster, unless bookish theory, wherein the toved consuls can propose as masters. Mere prattle without practice is all his sole good. But he, sir, had recollection, an eye of whose eyes had seen fruit at Rhodes, at Cyprus, and on other grounds. Christened and interesting, must be believed and called. Christened both by debtor and creditor, his undercaster he in good time, must his lieutenant, and I, bless his mark, his worship.
All right, so he's only the ancient, which is a lower level than lieutenant. He's bent out of shape that Michael Cassio has been picked as lieutenant, and Iago seems to be angry about this, but he's also reaffirming to Rodrigo, yes, I hate Michael Cassio, don't doubt it. Now, we don't know why Rodrigo also hates Michael Cassio, but Iago is jumping in and saying, yes, for sure, I do hate him. Okay, so there's some kind of relationship between Rodrigo and Iago that's dependent on both of them hating Michael Cassio. Yes?
So did he do the promoting?
It sounds like Othello is the one who did the promoting of Michael Cassio. Yes. Okay, Rodrigo?
By heaven, I rather would have been hangman.
Why, there's no revenue, 'tis the curse of service. Preferments go by letter and affection, and not by old traditions. Good here. Now, sir, you judge yourself whether I indeed substitute
Thin, so that means a line width.
attend to love her.
All right, the more we're going to find out is in a reference to Othello. Okay, so he comes from a place not there. Okay, he's a Moor from a different place in, geographically. And geographically, then, that also means that he comes from a whole different kind of society and people, meaning race. Okay, so Othello is typically portrayed as a black man in production. There's many references to him having a different skin color. Okay, whether he is Middle Eastern or he is African black, that can kind of flex depending on the actual production. But there is something different about him visually based on his race. Okay, and that's going to be an important distinction to kind of keep in mind. He's referred to as both Othello and as Moor because he's from Rodrigo?
I would not follow him.
O sir, content. I followed him to serve my turn of money. Cannot all be masters, nor all masters not be truly followed. You shall mark many a duteous and neat-looking name, that doing his own obsequious bondage wears out his time, much like his master's ass, for naught but provender, and when he's old, passionate. With me such honest names, others there are, trimmed forms in the sadness of youth, yet keep their hearts attending on themselves, and throwing but shows of service on do well thrive by them, and when they have lined their coats, do themselves harm. These fellows have some soul, and such a one do I request myself. For sir, it is as sure as you are Rodrigo, were I the more, I would not be done. Following him, I follow but myself. Heaven is my judge. Not I for love and pity, but seeming so, for my peculiar end. For when my outward action doth demonstrate the native act and figure of my heart, in compliment external, it is not long after that I will wear my heart upon my sleeve, for God's I am not ready.
All right, so he's saying right from the start, I am not what I am. It may look like I'm kissing up to Othello. I'm a total suck-up servant kind of guy, but he's like, no, I do it all for myself, and I am not what I appear to be. So he's got a bigger purpose, and we don't know exactly what that is yet, but Rodrigo is accusing him of being kind of a suck-up and not actually hating Othello and Michael Cassio. And Iago is trying to reassure him, it might look like that on the outside, but I've got a plan. And my plan is for myself, not to serve Othello and not to suck up to Michael Cassio. I'm doing this all for myself. So he's basically kind of trying to hold Rodrigo off to reassure him, I really am doing this because I hate this guy, even though it looks like I'm a suck up to him, to everybody else on the outside. Okay? The key words there, right there, is really file in your brain. He is not what he looks like. I am not what I am. Okay? So at some point, you're going to have to reconcile, what the heck do I personally think about Iago? Because he's a self-professed deceiver, right? He's not what he appears to be, and he's intentionally being that way. All right, Rodrigo, you buy it?
What a full portrait does the thick lips if he can carry us.
Call up her father, rouse him, make after him, poison his delight, proclaim him in the streets, incense her kinsmen. And though he in fertile climate dwell, like him, know that his joy be joy, yet through such changes of vexation, as it may lose.
All right, so you want to stir things up? Apparently, there's a woman involved, right? And he said, get her father involved. Bring his attention to some kind of situation. We don't know what situation yet it is. Rodrigo?
Here is her father's house, all colorful.
Do with humorous accent, the diary gather, as when by night, nectarines, fire is spied on us.
What oh, Brabantio, Signor Brabantio, oh.
Oh wait, what Ravancio, thieves, look to your house, your daughter, and your bags, thieves.
What is the reason of this terrible summons? What is the matter there?
Signor, is all your family within?
Are your doors locked?
Why, wherefore ask you this?
Sound, sir, ye are robbed. For shame, put on your gown. Your heart is burst, and you have lost half your soul. Even now, very now, an old black ram is helping your wife.
Okay, so definitely a sexual reference there, and also a reference to the fact that Othello is not white. Okay, his daughter is the white ewe, the ram, the female one, and Othello is the black ram who is topping Brabantio's ewe, if you can jump with that metaphor, right? So they're waking up dad in the middle of the night saying, hey, where's your daughter? Because we're pretty sure she's getting it on with Othello. Okay?
Arise, awake the snorting citizens with the bell, or else the devil will make a grandsire. Arise, I say.
All right, so Othello is apparently the devil, and he's about to make you a grandpa because he's getting with your daughter right now.
What, have you lost your wits?
Most Reverend Signor, do you know my voice?
Not I. What are you?
My name is Rodrigo.
So words are welcome. I have charged thee not to haunt about my door. In honest plainness, thou hast heard me say, my daughter is not for thee.
All right, so there's already a little history there. Brabantio has already said, Rodrigo, you don't get it. Okay, so Rodrigo's been sniffing around himself, which would explain then the relationship that he has with Iago. If Iago is brokering some kind of deal to hook him up with the daughter, right? Rodrigo's counting on him to make this happen. And Dad apparently has already said, Rodrigo, you're not good enough. Get away from my daughter. All right, keep going.
And now in madness, being full of supper and distempering draughts, upon malicious bravery dost thou come to start my quiet.
Sir, sir, sir.
But thou must needs be sure my spirit to my place have in their power to make this bitter to thee.
Patience, good sir.
What tellst thou me of Robin? This is Venice. My house is not a grange.
Most days, Brabantio, in simple and pure soul I come to you.
Down, sir, you are one of those that will not serve God as the devil did, because we come to do you service. You think we are ruffians. You'll have your daughter covered with the Barbary horse. Have your nephews named. You'll have coursers for cousins. Janets for dirt.
All right, so basically making lewd comments about what his descendants are going to be like. If he doesn't listen to them, this is all going to fall apart because his daughter is getting with somebody who is not worthy of her, Othello, because he's not of the right race.
What profane wretch art thou?
I am one, sir, that comes to tell you your daughter and the Moor are now making the beast with two backs.
Which you can definitely have a mental image there, right? No doubt what they're accusing Othello and Desdemona of doing, apparently, while Dad has been sleeping.
Thou art a villain.
You are a senator.
This thou shalt answer. I know thee, Rodrigo.
Sir, I will answer anything, but I beseech you, if it be your pleasure and most wise consent, as partly as I it is, that your fair daughter, at this odd evening watch of the night, transported with no worse nor better guard, but with a knave of common hire, the gross class solution for. If this be known to you, your allowance, be then accepting gold and sauce wrong.
Right, so if you approved of this, well, then I guess we have offended you, right? Because she is off with the lascivious Moor, which means hot for sex Moor, right? So if you said this was okay, then I guess we have disrupted your evening, your sleep, if you were okay with her going off with him. But that's for sure what's happening. All right?
But if you know not this, my manners come, and have your wrong with you. Do not believe that, in such falsity, I thus play and trifle with your reverence. Your daughter, if you have not given her leave, I say again, hath made a gross revolt. Tying her duty, beauty, wit, and fortune, extravagant, feelings grandeur, as here and everywhere. Straight satisfy yourself. If she be in her chamber or your house, will it loose on me the justice of the state, for thus living you.
All right, so he must be pretty sure that she's off with Othello. He's like, go check your house, right? If she's there, then I guess I've wronged you.
Strike on the tinder, oh, give me a taper, call up all my people. This accent is not unlike my dream. Belief of it oppressed me already. Light, I say, light.
All right, so he needs to turn on all the lights, turn on all the candles. Apparently he's had a bad dream about this already happening, so Dad's already got a premonition that this might be happening.
Farewell, for I must leave you. It seems not meet.
That means right, it's not right.
Nor wholesome to my place, not fit, as if I say I shall, against the Moor. For I do know the state, however this may gall him to check, cannot with safe cast, for he's embarked with such a loud reason to the Cyprus wars, which even now stand at, that for their souls another of his datum they have none. To leave their business, in which regard, though I do hate him as I do help him, yet for necessity of present life I must show out a flag in a second, which is indeed but a sign, that you shall surely find it. Leads the Sagittary and race, leads the Sagittary the racer, and there I will be, so fair.
Okay, so this little part right here, Iago says to himself. Iago speaks to himself a lot, okay? And the word for that is soliloquy. The reason it's significant is that generally speaking, if somebody's speaking to themselves, you should be able to trust that whatever they're saying is their honest, true thoughts, because otherwise, why would they be lying to themselves, right? So it kind of shows you, if they're speaking to somebody else, they might have all kinds of motivations for lying. But if they're speaking to themselves, they should be telling the truth. So talking to himself here, he tells himself, I got to get out of here because it's not right for the Moor to think that I had something to do with this. So he's super protective of his appearance, that he doesn't want Othello to think that he's the one who ratted them out, okay? Because he's got to still maintain his relationship that he's a suck-up to Othello for all other purposes, right? So he doesn't want Othello to come crawling out of the bushes with Desdemona and say, oh my gosh, you're the one who told on us, right? So he's got to get out of there. But he also reassures himself, the audience, whoever might be listening in his head, that he absolutely does hate him. Where does he say this? Sorry. In which regard, though I do hate him as I do Hell-Fiends, yet for necessity of present life, because of the present circumstances, I got to get out of here. I can't let him see me being the one who brought this all to light. Okay? It's an important distinction. He's all about appearances and who perceives what from him. All right. So here comes Brabantio, the dad. They've woken up the house.
Sorry, where?
Like 160.
Okay. It is too true and evil gone she is, and what's to come of my despised time is naught but bitterness. Now, Rodrigo, where didst thou see her, O unhappy girl? With the Moor, sayest thou? Who would be a father? How didst thou know 'twas she? Oh, she deceives me, past thought. What said she to you? Get mo tapers. Raise all my kindred. Are they married? Thank you.
All right. So Desdemona definitely gone, and he's suspicious that she is left with Othello.
Truly, I think they are.
O heaven, how got she out? O treason of the blood! Fathers from hence trust not your daughters' minds, but by what you see them act. Is there not charms by which the property of youth and maidhood may be
Abused.
sorry. Have you not read, Rodrigo, of some such thing?
Yes, sir, I have indeed.
Call up my brother. Oh, would you had her.
Oh, so now he's saying, I wish you'd had her, because Othello apparently is way worse. Okay, he was trying to preserve Desdemona because he didn't think Rodrigo was good enough, but now that she's run off with Othello, which he presumes she's probably pregnant and married, both equally bad, but she's run off without his permission, and he wishes now that at least he had said yes to Rodrigo, because that would be at least not as bad as Othello.
Some one way, some another. Do you know where we may apprehend her and the Moor?
I think I can discover him if you please. Get good guard and go along.
Pray you lead on. At every house I'll call and may command at most. Get weapons, ho, and raise some special offers tonight. On good Rodrigo, I will deserve your pain.
All right, so Dad is on a rampage looking for his daughter. That looks like a good time to wiggle. That's just the end of scene 1. But when we come back, we'll keep going with Act 1. All right? Good?
So